If there are no questions, I would I'll fill in for Priska until she joins. I don't know. Let me just check where she stopped, and then I'll go from there. All right. It seems what she has done so far is to do an overview of what Laravel is. So what I will be doing is to dive a little deeper into that and possibly start working on some small sample code for you to have a look at. If Priska joins the call while I'm speaking, I will likely hand over to her because I'm sure she has a plan for the class already. But I'll just, keep talking about Laravel and sharing a couple of things that I believe might be useful and relevant to you. You have already done procedural programming in PHP. You have worked with object-oriented programming in PHP. You have also been able to use database. You've done the basic things that you need to really start exploring frameworks. Laravel is one of the most, I think, possibly the most popular PHP framework out there. There are several others. I have had a chance to work with several others before. And I think the one that comes closest to Laravel will be Cake PHP, based on the experience that I personally have. But Laravel seems to be the most popular. Laravel allows you to create both front end and back end applications, giving you the ability to create full stack applications quite easily. Obviously, you still need to learn how to write basic HTML and CSS and all of that. Okay, so let me close a couple of things and then I'll share my screen and we will type right in. Any questions? I can hear a voice. Just closing a couple of things that I have on my screen that should not be seen by others. Okay, let's close this one too. All right, let's clear this. And then I'll share my screen now. Um, Hi, Adekola Yakub. Do you know my maiden name is actually Yakub? So we sort of share a name, Adekola. Anyway, let me share my screen. And I get people that say it's not Yakub, it's Yakubu. Okay, anyway, moving on. Hopefully I can edit this video and cut that part out. So I was saying, I forgot to open my browser. Okay, let's open the browser because we do need the browser so I can show you the Laravel documentation. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. So I would typically use Laravel documentation for most of the things I do. I'm one of those that believe that the first point of finding solutions or trying to understand any language or tool is to check the official documentation. Most of the time, people that write those languages and those tools, they fully understand the language and the tool. And so whatever documentation they write would be the first source of truth for you. Okay, so this is the Laravel official website. They have a lot of information, a lot of details about what Laravel is, how you can use it, and so on and so forth. And hopefully we can explore some of these things on the website. Um, there's also the actual documentation for the framework. So this link here takes you to the documentation. You will see there are different versions of Laravel. Laravel started from 4.2, and now we are at 11 plus. Um, Laravel versions are released, I think, once a year. So we are expecting Laravel 12 by next year. The Laravel 11 came out in March. We're expecting Laravel 12 by next year. The concern many people have shared regarding a yearly release of new versions of this framework is that it becomes a bit more difficult for new beginners to catch up with the changes. So what Laravel does is they make sure any changes that come in the new versions does not break old um, things that exist in old versions. So if you are joining a Laravel project or a Laravel company that currently uses Laravel 8 point something, you will still be fine um, with that code if you decide to update to 11 point something. So basically, you will not have to rewrite the entire thing in the new Laravel version because they make it, the word is backward compatibility. So they make it compatible to previous versions. To be fair, I don't know how far the compatibility goes. I don't know if it goes as far as 5 point something, but typically if you have on 7 or 8, you should still be fine with 11. And that also gives you an advantage because when you're watching Laravel videos online, and this is something that maybe JavaScript framework cannot boast about, tutorials for those frameworks, they quickly run out of relevance because there's a new version that does things in a different way and it's not compatible with the older versions. So your tutorials, everything you've recorded is now obsolete. And that's because the new version came out. So that's one advantage of Laravel framework. You can read the official documentation in terms of installation and all of that. I think Priska already covered that, so I will not be covering that. But when a new version comes out, Laravel will typically give you information on how to update. Let me see if it's here. Um, where is it? Where is it? I'll just search Laravel 10 or 11 updates. Yeah. So I'll check. Yeah, there we go. So they typically tell you what you need to do to make sure your Laravel application now becomes a Laravel 11 application. Now let's go back to the installation guide that I had on earlier. That would be this one. This is what I typically do. I have Laravel installed on my as a global installation on my laptop. Where is it? Okay, there we go. So to do that, you will do this. And by running this code, you would then be able to create a new Laravel application quite easily. And I'll just quickly show you that now. So this is my terminal. I'll go to I have a folder I use for projects. So I can create a new Laravel application by saying, let me make this bigger. Seems quite small. Is Priska here? No, she's not. Okay. So I can create a new application by typing Laravel new and say Zuri Laravel class. And this basically creates a new Laravel application for me. It tells me, let me go back. That was quite fast. Tells me I'm creating a new Laravel application. This is the information here. I am installing Laravel as a framework itself. I'm installing version 11. I am creating basic information of things that need to be there. I am updating and installing dependencies, which we talked about in the OOP class, packages and all of that. So it installs all the packages you need and locks them in the composer.log file, and then downloads them and basically installs them. After that, it does composer dump autoload, which is this guy that you see right here. It then publishes relevant assets and sets application key and then run necessary migrations by typing the simple command like this. In the past, I think as a Laravel 7, I'll go to Laravel 7. As a Laravel 7, it doesn't do all of those things. It it only installs a new Laravel application. Then you have to do all the other things yourself. Like you have to, after it installs the application, you have to run composer install, you have to then dump autoload, you have to then run migrations, and all of those things. Okay. But in this new version, it just allows you to run one single command and everything would come into order. So that's one way to get Laravel installed. I would highly recommend that you do this for yourself. Just install the Laravel package installer as a global thing and have that on your system. The main advantage of this is if Laravel 12 comes out, I don't have to worry about coming to copy this command and trying to install it. I just go to my laptop because this command would install the latest Laravel version. Okay, so that's what we've done. Now let's open this thing that we've just um started, this project that we just started. Let's say open. I'll go to projects. I will look for Z. It's probably the last one. There we go. And I'll open that. So Priska has already done a walkthrough of all the files that are in the Laravel project. Let's close all of this. Yeah, I was just checking if Priska is. So these are all the folders and the files that are here. The app is where most of the things you'll be doing would be. And the route folder, if you could mute yourself, please. I'll just do it for you. Okay. The route folder, which is this guy, has the web route. Just scan, please. Has the web route and then the console, which we might still talk about later. But see, the console part is a very powerful feature that Laravel offers. And I will show you what that means now. So you see, it says there's an artisan command. Artisan is basically the core Laravel keyword that you use for running some Laravel commands. So you will see something like PHP artisan make, for example, command. That's for making a new command. You will see things like PHP artisan migrate. So the artisan keyword is typically the main keyword I use for pulling Laravel related things because the PHP thing is just your own, PHP is installed, but artisan itself is what you use to connect with Laravel when you're working with Laravel things. Okay, let's run this command that is written here just to show you what this does. So I'll do PHP artisan inspire, and what that does is to fetch an inspiring quote. So it says display an inspiring quote. If I run the command again, it gets me a different quote. And it's basically supposed to be running every hour. So this is one of the most powerful features of Laravel, allowing you to write command console applications. You can write your own by just doing what I did earlier, PHP artisan make command. And I can say test command. So it writes the command for me, puts it in the console folder, and now I can write anything I want it to do here. And I can just say something like this output. So basically I can say do anything I want to do here. And you know what? Let's just you can even have a progress bar and some other things. So I would not dive into this just yet. But let's do a basic echo here, which doesn't make sense. Let's do a DD. I am a new command. Okay, so I can then run the command that I just created, which I called app test command. And that says I am the new command. So Laravel is really, really that easy. If you are going to be writing this same thing using vanilla PHP, it will take you so much time to write a console application that is so flexible that can connect with database and do other things. It will take so much time. But anyway, that's one of the features of Laravel that we'll be looking at. But typically, when you are creating a web application, this is where your route would be. If I was to start my Laravel application, by the way, I use something called, I'm sure Priska already talked about hosting locally. She must have talked about the WAMP, the MAMP, and some other things. But I personally use Valet. Uh, Not that. Okay, I use this. I use this locally, so you can explore using this. The advantage of this is I've configured my system in such a way that whenever I create a new project, it just automatically hosts the project for me. So all I have to do is to go to the name of the project, which is Zurich class test dot test, I guess. I don't know if it's Zurich class test. Zurich Laravel class. Okay. Zurich Laravel class. And you see, this is the application that I just installed and it's currently hosted and I can just view it. And the welcome you see now, it's this page. Okay. This is the route that gets called when you are building a web application. So you define your route inside the web.php. You define your route inside route web.php. Sometimes when you are building an API, your route will be defined in a folder called APIs. Let's create a new PHP file in there and call it API. And your API route defined here. Okay. So this is another thing Laravel allows you to do. It allows you to like separate things into its relevant groupings so that if you need to debug, if you need to fix something, it is easier to go and trace it out. Okay. So this is the page that we've just seen. It's the landing page. So anytime you visit this URL, which is the home page, the index page, Laravel will send you to this view that you have created. So let's go and look at what this view looks like and see if we can make some edits there. We talked about two things now. We've talked about one, the console command, the feature that Laravel allows you to have, which is located in the app console. Okay. We have talked about the route, which is inside the folder route. And then you have the web, the console, or the API route. And then the next I want to show you is where the pages are, what you call views. So you will see that Laravel is like an MVC framework that has controllers, has models, and has views. So let's look at where the views are now. The views are located inside resources, and then you will see views. So any external page that you want to have should be inside resources. You can do as many grouping as you want, as long as it's inside views, you will be fine. So the welcome page you see here is this page right here. So if I do a testing, I forgot to close my email. Let me just close it now. Okay, so if I refresh this page, you see that the title changes and has the thing that I just added there. So every page that you want to have should be in the views page. Let's create a new page. Okay, new home page. Let's call it home page dot blade dot php. Now you will see that the pages have something called blade. Blade is the templating not plugin package that Laravel works with. So let's look at blade templates. Templating. I think it's templating. Yeah, so Laravel uses Blade as its templating engine. So you can do some Google search. What are templating engines? Basically, they are things that gives you the capability to process front-end views. So there are several ones for Node.js, for JavaScript, for several languages. So Laravel uses Blade for its templating. This is the default templating engine that Laravel uses, but there are other options available. You can use Laravel and React.js. You can use Laravel and Vue.js. And I think you can use Laravel and Livewire and some other things. Okay, but the default you will have would be Blade. I would also be showing you, hopefully later, how to set up a full application by just running a couple of commands. Okay, so we've created a page. Let's have the basic HTML5 templates. HTML5 templates, and just say I am a new page, and then say if true. Okay, I don't need this. Attend if obviously this cannot be. I'm trying to just basically, okay, I'm taking it a bit too fast, but I just want to show you some. things that are possible. Allowed equals true. This should be nphp. Okay, and this is an if statement that says if allowed, then print allowed, else. Let's do the else. What else? I know you already know if statement, so I don't have to be telling you what if statement are. Not allowed. But I'm trying to use this to explain the Blade templating engine. So what I have done is to say, hey, Laravel, this is a basic HTML page, but I want you to run some PHP code inside that page. To do that, I will say, this is a PHP code that I want to run. So what I'm doing right now is to say, start PHP from here and stop PHP here. I'm doing anything I want to do inside a PHP. The variable now becomes available in the entire page as long as it's a PHP block. Another way to start PHP, to inform the templating engine, which is the Blade engine, that I'm about to write some PHP script, would be to use the heart symbol. So sometimes you have the at for each, and this will tell Blade engine that, look, I'm writing PHP because look, I have at for each in there. You have several things which I'm sure we'll still be exploring. So let's try and view this page. In order for us to view this page, we need to inform the route that there is now a new page because we only have a single route here. We need to say, I have a new page and I want you to display this page when I go to this particular route. So let's say if I go to home, I need to display, what is it called, home page. So you will notice that we don't have the blade here. We only have home page. So when I go to the main, to the base URL, I get sent to the welcome page, which you've seen. When I go to the home page, I get sent to the home page. So let's go back to our application and go to home. And that goes to allowed. It's saying allowed because I have set it in here that when allowed is true, then say allowed. So let's set allowed to false. You will see it says not allowed. So that's basically how templating works. So you can take some variables from Laravel backend and send to the front end. Okay, because in the real sense, the home page, this HTML is a front end page, right? And I'm currently running some PHP script inside it, and I'm using that to decide what I display on the page. So let's find a way to make this much easier. This is a shabby work. So we don't typically do this except absolutely necessary. You don't typically write raw PHP inside the template engine like this. You can pass parameters, you can pass variables, but it doesn't really make much sense to write this simple thing in here. So that's why Laravel uses what you call controllers. Typically, when you visit a route, the route page would search if the route exists in here. If you try and visit a route that doesn't exist, for example, if I say home1, it says not found. So the first thing that happens that Laravel does is to say, do I know about this particular page this person is trying to visit? Okay. And if that page is not defined here or anywhere in your application, it says, I don't know this page, so not found. If it knows the page, it says, what should happen after this person visits this page? So I'll leave this here and I'll just create a new route. I'll say route, get. I'll call this about. Now, this thing that you see here is one way to define the route. It's called using a closure. I don't know if I call it what it's called, a closure definition of the route. So we use the closure. This is a closure right here to define it. Another thing we can do is to actually remove all of this and say, I want you to send this person over to a controller. Okay, look at the options now. The first option is I'm saying whenever you visit the home page, send the person directly to this page. That's all I want to do. But sometimes you want to do some manipulation. For example, if you have like some database connection, you want to say fetch user details before displaying page. Okay, it doesn't make sense to do it this way in that case. So what you do is to send them over to the controller and then let the controller do everything you want to do before sending them over to the view, which is here. So what we are saying is when they visit the about page, send them over to the controller. So let's create a new controller, right? So it's easier. So PHP artisan make controller. Let's call that about controller. And that would create a new page for us. Oh, I have a mistake somewhere. Oh, right, there's a type. Okay, that's fine. So this cannot be left this way. I have to terminate it. That was the problem. But anyway, let's try it again. So we've made a controller. It says controller created successfully, and controllers are created in the app HTTP controllers about controller.php. So if I go in there now, app HTTP controllers about controller. This is what the controller will look like. It's just a class that extends the base controller. The base controller has nothing in it, but you can, okay, if you have like multiple controllers and they all share similar functions or methods, you can put that method inside the base controller so that it becomes available to every controller out there. All right, but we'll not be doing that right now. Let's just do the basic thing. So what we are trying to do is to say, when they visit the about page, send them over to the controller. And this is how you define that in PHP, in Laravel. So we say about controller class. Sorry, my editor really helped me out there, but I'll explain what just happened there. So what we're saying is when they visit the about page, take them to the controller that we just created, by the way. Inside the controller, there is an index function there. Take them to that function. And let's take out this for now because we haven't talked about this yet. So take them to the about controller, the index function. Okay, so we need to create this function, or we call it anything, by the way. You can call it anything you want. Okay, so I'll go into the about controller and create a public function index. And by the way, it has to be public function. If we make it private, then it's not available to this to this page, right? Okay, so what we want to do is to return a view, which is the not this, I think it's the oh right, we need to create the about page. Okay, it's fine. I'll just create the about page right there. So what we have done again is to say when they go to the about page, send them over to this class and look for this function and do anything they ask us to do there. Fortunately for us, this function is doing something very simple. It's only sending us to this page. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that page. I'll go over to my view. I'll just duplicate this guy. Copy and paste it and call it about. Okay, I'll say this is the about page. About. And take this out. This is messing it up. And take this out. So this is going to be possibly throw an error because this particular function, what is it called? Variable is not available, but let's just try it that way first. All right, so I will refresh this page. The home page is still fine. By the way, we have something in there. So let's take this out. Okay. The home page is still fine. It's saying not allowed. That's fine. Let's go to the about page. The about page now throws an error because this variable is not available, like I mentioned earlier. So let's try and make that variable available now. So what we are going to say is about, sorry, what did we call it? Allow, I guess. Let's call it something else. I'll do the allow first. Allow to be true, and then send that over along with this page. So what we are doing is we're saying when they visit the about page, send them to this method. There's a variable, send that variable over to this page. Okay, so that becomes available when I refresh this now. Ooh, probably some spelling error. Allowed, okay, I think. Yeah, it's allowed, not allowed. Okay, cool. So let's refresh that. And now this is fine. And I can say this is false and not allowed. So that's basically the whole process that we have in Laravel. User make a request. The request is sent to the controller. The controller looks at what it's supposed to do, does what it's supposed to do, either sends back a JSON response or sends back a page and sends along with some variables that are necessary for that particular user. So imagine if I have my database connection somewhere, I could do database manipulations. and send the results back to the view. I spelled the view like a Yoruba person, which I am, by the way. View. Okay, so that's like how simple Laravel is. And just just imagine how long it will take you to try and do all of these things on your own. Okay. Now, what we have been doing is we've been making GET requests. We could also configure a post request and say, when they make a post request to contact page, okay, send them over to contact controller and send them over to, which we don't have yet. That's why this is saying that, and send them over to contact us function. Okay, we can then create this class, which my editor is helping me to do, and that would be fine. Okay. Now let's clean this up a little bit. Instead of having this here, we could just do a use about controller and duplicate that and make this into contact controller. No, not that. Contact controller. There we go. So this is a bit neater. So these are like the few ways you can sort of send things over to the users when they make a request. By the way, there is also the delete request, there is the put request, there is the, what else do we have? I think patch. Yeah. So you can write any kind of request that you want. Everything can be in this single file. You can also group things together. Let me show you how to group things together. So you could say route group. Oh my God, this editor is making things so much easier. And I hope I'm not complicating matters for you. Okay, I will take all of this out. We don't need this for now. I will just set the prefix to be user. And then inside this group, so I'm saying there's a group of routes, a group of pages that must start with users. I would then say inside this, create a get, if I can spell it right, create a get request that goes to profile, and then say, let's just say it's the same thing about controller, pass, and looks for profile. Yeah, I'll just leave it this way for now. Okay. So what we are saying is there is a user's prefix that is followed by a profile. And if a user goes to that page, so let me save this and try that now. So if I go to users profile, I'll get an error, obviously. Okay, because that doesn't exist. So let's go into this page and create a new method and just say return view blank. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to show you how to sort of make this um how to sort of make this dynamic. So I'm saying there's a content, and I'll say this is the, I feel like I'm complicating things for you guys. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to say this is the profile page. Okay. So we are saying trying to make this a bit more dynamic. We're saying when they come to the profile page, take this content and send it over to the page. It's a blank page for now. We're also going to say with the title of the page, user, let's make a title, user profile. Also send that over. I think it's supposed to be this way. Or is it supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be an array. I'm not sure anymore, but I'll try it out. Yeah, I'll try this and then we'll see. How to be profile. Okay, then I'll go ahead and create a blank. Let's copy. Nope. Let's just copy and let's copy and paste this and call it blank. And then go here. Now, if I wanted to output a variable without doing any of this, Laravel allows me to use this shortcut. Okay, I can just say title because I'm sending title over here. Another thing I can do is to say, well, let's do that first. So title and take this out and then print the content. Okay, that should do. Okay, so we are going over to the blank page We are printing the content and the title. You can see the title is there now. So it makes you, gives you the ability to make these things dynamic. You can basically set anything up here and set anything in here from the controller. Right. Just imagine in a situation where this variable is not available. We can even say, well, if this variable is not available, I want you to make it default as blank, default title. So if title as a variable is not available now, it's going to replace it with this. Let's quickly try that out. So let's take this out. Okay, and sort of comment this out. So if I refresh this page, I see blank default title. So you see, Laravel is straightforward. I mean, most of the time anyway. Easy to use for simple applications, very relevant for you, complex applications, very important for security also. Okay, there are some things you don't want to start doing on your own, like for example, validation, database connections, manipulations, and all of that. Sometimes you don't want to stress yourself trying to do that on your own. Using a framework like Laravel just makes all of that easier. Okay. Before I sort of close for today, I would like to ask you to do one thing for me. Number one, if you're on a, I don't know if Valet works on a Windows machine, by the way. Yeah, I don't know if, I don't think it works on a Windows machine. So if you're on a Mac laptop, I will ask you to install Valet. It allows you to have, it just makes things easier for you. So go to the documentation, look at how to install it. Usually they are straightforward, like I've shown you already. If you're on a Windows machine or whatever kind of machine you're on, I want you to set up your system to allow you to do this Laravel new command. So you can just run Laravel new and create a new Laravel application very easily. So those are the two things I would like you to do. I might not be giving you an official assignment regarding those two things, but just take your time, look at the documentation, go through everything I've said. You can convert some of the assignments you've gotten before, like the forms and whatever assignment you've gotten before. You can convert them using Laravel. Okay, like the process I've just shown you now is all you have to do. So you create a new form. Let me just quickly show you what that looks like. So create a new form. Well, why did you create a form for me? What's wrong with you? Come on. Thank you. So create a new form that accepts the get method and sends over to, which one did we create earlier? We created the, yeah, contact page. So it sends over to contacts, and then the form content will be here. You say input type string, I guess. No, sorry, what do they call this thing? Text? Yeah, text. We have to give it a name and say name, and that's all, right? I think that's all. Okay, so let's copy that. Say email, like this type email, and finally let's text area and say name, your message, and they will put their message in here. Obviously, we need a button, type, submit, and say send message. Okay, very easy. Let's go to that page. I think it's the about page. Let's go to the about page. We have a form. It's a very ugly form, by the way. What do we do? Let's add some labels. I think that will make things easier. So label your name. Move this guy up here. Let's add it to a P, and I'll be lazy and copy this, and then I'll move this. Okay, and then your email. Oh, I don't think I can use P inside label, can I? Ah, I can't. Nice. Okay. Let's make this a BR then. That should be fine. Let's make this a BR. This is an ugly form, but I just wanted to show you how to submit a form in Laravel. And let's see, label, yeah, let's add a BR there. So anyway, the button will still be ugly. Let's move the button down also. Have a BR, it's a bad thing to do. Okay, so we're asking for their name. This is weird. Oh, my bad. Sorry, guys. Mm, okay, we're done with the class. So I just need to show you how to submit a form so you can practice on your own. Did I even do anything there? Yeah, there should be no BR here. There should be a BR here. Okay, BR should be here. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we have a form. We're saying the form should be submitted to the contact page. Let's go to the contact. We don't have this yet, so we can go here and say public function, not index, but contact. And for now, all we will do is to print out everything that was sent. Request all. And that means we also need the request object here, which is the HTTP eliminate request. Okay, let me explain this. So because we are sending a post request here, we need to capture the content of the post request. That's why we need this. So this request is a Laravel thing. You can explore what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You can explore that. It basically allows you to capture the values that have been sent over to this page. Okay, either it's a get request or a post request. This is saying get every content of such a request. So let's try this out. Let's refresh this page. Let's add some content one, email at gmail.com, and my message. And if I submit this form, page expired. Now, that's a brilliant thing. So I was talking about security earlier and how Laravel allows you to Laravel is just secure out of the box if you use it properly. Now, you can't just submit a form without being verified as somebody who has access to this application. Okay, that means somebody cannot just go to this page and do anything they like. They have to go from somewhere to get to this page. They have to go from that form to get to this post page. Okay, so what we had, Laravel has given us the ability to say, well, let's add a CSRF token here. If I go back to the form now, where is the form? What's the form called? I think it's about. If I come back to the form now and I show you what that looks like with the CFR token, you will see it has this token here, which is verifying. It's going to send this token along with the submit when you submit the form. And so Laravel will know that this person came from a form within our application, not somebody from the outside trying to do something. If I take this out now and go back to refresh it, you will see it's just a normal form. It doesn't have the token in there, which is dangerous, which means somebody could come and try and submit and do anything to this route because you don't have any token to validate the request that it's coming from your own application. But with this token, even though they can see it, you can't guess how this token is generated. You can't form this token on your own. Okay. So anyway, we need to have every time you make a post, every time you make a form that will be sent, I'll be sending a post request, you need this token. If it's a get request, you don't need it. Okay, so let's go back, refresh the page, add our content in there. So this is supposed to be an email, add more content in here and submit. And now we see the full content of everything that we have sent using that form. This makes things so much easier. And what you can do is to, possibly assign a variable to them, run some validations, and then add them to database, which I think I've explained before. Okay, so this is like an overview of basic things you can do in Laravel. What I would like you to do now is to go back and convert your past assignment into a Laravel application. So the one that asks you to submit a form or submit it to a file, convert it to a Laravel application, which I've already done now, and add it to a file. Just explore different things, make mistakes, look at the documentation, try to learn how to do some things. I'm sure when Priska makes more video available or when she attends a class, she would keep going with you on Laravel. Okay, are there any questions from anyone regarding everything I've been talking about? Eh?
Because I've been here
Oh, you've been here since when? Okay. Do you?
since he started the class.
No, I don't think you were here when I started. But anyway,
Like around 126, that's when I joined.
oh, we should have stopped me. I should have handed over to you. I've been rambling. Okay.
No.
Um, I don't know. When is your class supposed to end? 2 o'clock, right?
I think 2 or what? Yes, 2 o'clock, and it's almost 2 o'clock already.
Oh yeah, that means okay. So just Priska, you're supposed to send a couple, maybe like 2 videos now. Make a video for what you
Okay.
planned for this class before, and then
Okay.
we'll upload that. So you get.
The last video, I've sent you the link, oh, but I don't think you've seen it.
Okay, then this particular class you are supposed to have, just make a video for this class also.
Yes.
Can make that
There's
available.
2 more videos.
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks. Any questions from anybody, please, before I. Yeah, in Laravel, you don't need that. You have access to it, by the way. So if I wanted to, somebody asked the question in the chat. The person is asking in Laravel, do we need the post global variable? We can. We have access to it because okay, what this guy does. Let me see if I can find it for you. Is to so, um yeah. I can't find it. But what the package this class does is to just help you fetch all those things that are in the request, including all the global variables. So if I was to print just this guy out, okay, print just this guy out and refresh the page and submit the form, I guess. You will see it just basically gives you everything about that particular request, including the query object and the request, everything about the request. But you only go after the things that you need, which is the content of the actual request. So that will give you the content, or you could just say get one specific one, maybe get the name. And this will give me the name of whoever submitted. And you could say get me the email. That will get you the email of whoever submitted. So you is there any class on the other side? Yeah, there was a video uploaded, please. Just check YouTube. Um So yeah, you have access to, and I could decide to say, well, I don't want to use the Laravel thing. I don't know why you would do that, but just in case you want to, you still have access to this. Let's refresh the page. Sorry, I pressed save instead of fresh. And you still have access to it. It's just that it doesn't make sense to use the global variable when you have this much nicer way of accessing it. Okay. And this even allows you to write some validation. So I could, oh my God, I'm taking much time, but just let me just show you this. PHP artisan make requests. Like I want to make my own request class and use it for validation and say user validation, something like that. So I would then change this guy to use user validation, my own, the one that I just created. I'll go in there and say allow, sorry, I'm not going to be bothering about that. I'll say this has to be a string and it has to be required and it must be maximum of that, but I'll make it maximum of maybe like four or something. So now what I have done is to say, when the request comes, use my own class that I have created, which is called user validation, and make sure they pass my validation rules. And I think in my OOP class, I told you how to write this validation rule manually, but now we are using Laravel to do it. So if I now submit this form, it uses my own thing. I think I validated name, so I'll say I'll just use 3 here, and I'll enter email, and I'll say form. Oh yeah, am I DDing out? Let me see. Wait, what's the question? It's on YouTube. The videos are on YouTube. Just go to YouTube. There's a playlist for PHP 2024. Check the playlist. You will find it there. Okay. Will this class be available on YouTube because I wasn't able to join on time? Yeah, we'll make the class available on YouTube. Priska will make some videos available. You'll get all of that. So anyway, you could write your own custom validation and have that do anything you want. Okay. Let's see. Validate. Another question. Yeah, so that's all. But anyway, um, you could use your own custom request class to validate and say if it's validated. So I'm basically saying if it passes, let's refresh this and see if it passes. Yeah, so this one passes. This is the only validation we have there, by the way, I think. Prince, go on with your question. We don't have email, said it's required.
From your controller, when you turn the view, I saw that you use when you were trying to add the compacts, you added them something like variable name. I've seen the cases where they don't add anything like variable name, they just say compact and then the variable. So what's the difference between the two of them?
There's no difference. See, there are just different ways to do things. It's basically the same thing. I use compact because it makes sense in my opinion, but any way you want to do. Wait, what did you say? You said they have compact and what?
The variable name, that's the variable name, like in form of an object,
This
var
is
name.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Like var name.
Yes. So what I used to see before now on other video tutorial is just compacts and the puts allowed.
Is that not what I did? Like this? Is this what you mean? Hello? But anyway, regardless of whatever you mean, it's just different ways of doing things. The point is you can send variables from your method in any class to your view. That's what it means. Some people would even do, yeah, you could even define your own thing here and say allowed. This will still work. So it doesn't really, it doesn't really matter. It's just fine. Okay, this would still work. I could show you that it would still work. Which one can we use? Yeah, we can use I think, contact page. Oh, no, this one. Another question. Um, yeah, it's fine. Okay, there are some places they don't put compact. Doesn't matter. It's just different ways of doing things. Go on, Prince. What's your question? This will still work. Where is it? I need to. Prince, please go on with your question. Okay. Mm. Prince, your hand is up, or was that a mistake?
So now you've answered the question already.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So hello.
Yeah, go
Can you
on.
hear me?
Yes.
This King. Yeah. Can you pass an object instead of a variable?
You can pass
Can you
anything.
pass like an object?
You can pass a function
Anything.
if you like. You can pass a method. You can pass another class. Like I could pass, you can pass anything you want. I could pass an entire request object here, and everything will still be fine. Do you understand? You can pass anything you want into the view and just handle it over there. Like if I had a user object, which I think I do have, so I could pass the entire user object in here and say user first. So this will get the first user, not you. That would be this. So this will get the first user in my database and pass it to this variable, and this variable becomes available in the about page. So you can pass anything. You can pass objects, you can pass a function, you can pass a method, you can pass an entire class, you can pass an array. Anything can be passed to the other page. Okay, I'm sure Priska will tell you more about this. All right. So thank you all for attending. There's another class that's supposed to be happening now, so I will not be able to continue with you guys. But don't worry, Priska has promised to send 2 more videos before your next class, and that will be very helpful. If you've not watched the first video, I will recommend you go and watch it. Then watch the rest that she'll be making available. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.